Can I just ask you, and this is the age-old question, so I know that you're going to have to caveat it with you don't know the answer for sure. But he says a lot of things. He has said a lot of things. Do you really think he's going to do all these things? Do you really think that he's going to put tariffs in across the board, or is that a negotiating strategy that he was doing to say something, to signal to China?
As you know, going through Congress right now is a reciprocal tariff bill, which is very fair. If Germany taxes us or tariffs us at 10% on cars, we do the same to them. It'll be reciprocal. Yeah. With the exception of China. I'm an advocate for turning up the heat on China so that we get them to the table to join that act, because they came into the WTO in 1999. Trump is using these, people think they're sales taxes, they're not. It's a negotiating tactic. This is what he does well, I would argue. If the Supreme Leader now knows that Trump is going to run the show. If Trump says, look, I'm going to crank you up to 400% until you get over here to Washington, he'll fly to Washington. That's what we need. We need Trump's negotiating tactic, his uncertainty that he brings to the table. These adversaries get nervous when they don't understand the direction he's going.
That's the best case scenario. It relates to the madman theory in political science. That when you have a leader who is so unpredictable, unstable, and even crazy, it can freeze adversaries, goes the theory, who think that the nutty leader might actually bring global annihilation and not care about it. The madman theory is commonly associated with the foreign policy of Richard Nixon. His administration, through Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, tried to make leaders of the hostile communist bloc nations think that Nixon was so irrational and volatile that they would avoid provoking the United States. Kissinger tried to get the communist leaders to believe that Nixon was so nuts he would launch nuclear weapons at the slightest provocation. The madman effort didn't work. And political science studies have repeatedly shown that the strategy is frequently counterproductive and that it can only work under very certain specific conditions. Does Donald Trump's economic strategy meet those conditions? The experts say no. But there are people like Kevin O'Leary who think that threatening economic crashes and tariffs might bring China closer to the negotiating table. And until Trump were to actually deploy tariffs, O'Leary sees no harm.
Do you believe, from what you're hearing now, and maybe the fact that Trump looks easily on track to win the popular vote, the fact that this is such a mandate, it wasn't just a narrow, eked out victory, right? Overall, it wasn't. Does that change the fact, the big worry that people have is who's he going to attract to work for him? After last time, after what the general said,
I've
after all
got
the
good news
people.
for you, Aaron, on this one. Harold Ludwig is running the transition team. I've had a chance to speak with him very briefly. A-listers coming in. We're not going to have the same volatility we had on Mandate 1. Trump 2.0 really wants this to work. It's not going to be a rotating doors of guys coming in and writing books the next week about their horrible experience. They're going to find great people to run this mandate, because this is his legacy mandate. He's going to be good for 3 years before he's a lame duck. He knows that. I think
he does know that. You think he cares about legacy?
You know, being shot at twice kind of sobers you up a little bit. I think that's changed him. He's an older guy now. He's a far more pragmatic guy. I'm an advocate to let him go do his thing and watch him go to work. He cares a lot about the economy, and he's made promises he wants to keep. You get to that point in your life where you want to leave something behind that was a great thing you did. And I think this is going to be what Trump's focused on.
Donald Trump is going to have great people. Alleged rapist Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, conspiracy nut and anti-vaxxer RFK Jr. at Health and Human Services. Measles outbreaks wouldn't be good for the economy. Alleged Russian asset Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. U.S. allies are already saying that they will not share intelligence secrets with the Trump administration. An apparent pedophile and statutory rapist Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, the chief law enforcement officer. Gaetz has reportedly pledged to help tear apart the Justice Department and fire all the career employees. A lot of career employees at the Department of Justice work to make sure that U.S. corporations and financial groups play by the same sets of rules. And according to CNBC, the uncertainty sparked by the Gaetz nomination has already spooked a lot of CEOs and prompted some buyer's remorse about Donald Trump. Also, Trump's plans for another round of massive tax cuts, along with the costs of migrant deportations and potential tariffs, have convinced economists that Donald Trump is again going to explode the deficit. That would make U.S. borrowing costs more expensive. The Treasury market has already seen a rise in anticipation of the Trump policies, and that has pushed up mortgage rates. So even before Donald Trump takes office, just the anticipation of his policies, well, that's making Americans pay more for mortgages, car loans, and credit card debt. Now, to be fair, I get that some of Donald Trump's economic picks appear serious and credible, so I appreciate the view of Kevin O'Leary and some others who are optimistic about the U.S. economy under Donald Trump and want to give him time to go to work. If Trump lovers want to be optimistic, so be it. But the argument is just as strong, if not stronger, that Donald Trump and his policies are going to cause an economic crash. Under the Biden administration, we have had 3 years of record-setting job creation, including in manufacturing, low unemployment, huge gains on Wall Street, and wage growth that has outpaced inflation. Also, the economic world has enjoyed stability. Under Donald Trump, we are already seeing fears of instability, and there's uncertainty about what Trump is actually going to do. He could do nothing, keep the economy going strong, and claim all the credit, or he could impose his tariffs, tax cuts, and expensive deportation policies, crash the economy, and take no responsibility. I mean, Trump is going to blame Democrats for anything that goes wrong, no matter how absurd his argument. But the bottom line is that there are two distinct perceptions of Donald Trump. On the economy, the number one concern of American voters, Trump supporters think he will be great. Trump critics say he is a moron who will bankrupt America economically, just as Trump did to several of his businesses. And one could argue that Trump has already bankrupted America socially and morally. Hopefully Donald Trump's near-death experiences the past year will change him, and he will act on behalf of the greater good instead of acting just to enrich and further empower himself. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.